Boehner, he's expected to take questions on Benghazi and the hearings from yesterday and where Republicans go on this issue next. This, as we also learn, the former Vice President Dick Cheney is on the Hill as well today, telling Republicans that the former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton should be called to testify if necessary. When the speaker appears, we'll take you there live. In the meantime, I want to bring in Doug Schoen, former advisor to President Bill Clinton, and Monica Crowley, our radio talk show host. Both are Fox News contributors, and good morning, to both of you. We are trying to figure out where we go next on this. And I think there's a number of approaches you could take. What do Republicans do? What do Democrats do? General Michael Hayden was with us 40 minutes ago. He seems to be satisfied based on the information he has about the Pentagon's response. But everything else that came after it is still, he's pretty stuck on that. And I believe, Doug, that is the next angle on this story.
Well, I think it could be, with all due respect to General Hayden, from a political point of view, I don't think that all the questions have been answered about what happened on the night of September 11th.
And that is precisely what he referred to, rather. Now, politically, Monica, if that is the case that Doug mentions here, what is next?
In fact, I think yesterday's hearings didn't answer any questions and, in fact, opened up other questions that need to be answered. For example, the Commander-in-Chief and the Secretary of State, the two leaders of the U.S. government that night, they are unaccounted for that night. We have no narrative of where they were or what they were doing. Those questions need to be answered. Who gave those stand-down orders that General Hayden is referring to that we heard about last night? There may have been multiple stand-down orders for our military and other assets in the region. Who gave those orders? Also, after hearing that testimony yesterday, Bill, how did we get from that truth about what happened that night to a fiction about a video, a big lie that was perpetuated by everybody from the president to the Secretary of State on down for weeks on end? How did we get to that point? And of course, the biggest of all questions is what exactly have they been covering up?
Hold on to that point about the protests in the video. Where did that come from?
We don't know. We simply don't know. Monica is right. You heard Gregory Hicks yesterday say that he was sick to his stomach when he read of the so-called talking points that Susan Rice articulated 5 days later. We have no idea. We don't have a narrative. I don't think there was a smoking gun, Bill, yesterday, but Monica, in fairness, there also weren't any answers.
Right. No, that's exactly right. And look, it may be the dynamic change yesterday, Bill, when I was watching this. The Democrats were really struggling because those witnesses yesterday were unimpeachable. You have former Marine, you have career Foreign Service folks who were testifying to the truth, all based on facts. Their testimony is unimpeachable and their characters are unimpeachable. Democrats really struggled. And in fact, the ranking member, Elijah Cummings, the Democrat, at the end said, you know, it's pretty clear here that we need further investigation or more hearings.
Or more hearings, which is the possibility.
What we may hear from John Boehner is a select committee, which will be necessary.
Perhaps. He's not willing to go there just yet. Maybe he changes his mind in a moment here. But Doug, come back to this protest thing.
Sure.
Because there was no testimony yesterday that suggested there was a protest or any evidence of it.
Again, it was pretty clear to our career civil servants, those who were in Benghazi, and indeed to observers, what was going on. It was an attack. Where those talking points came from, how they were developed, and why 5, 6 days later they were deemed credible inside the administration is a question we just don't have answered.
Now, she mentioned Elijah Cummings.
Right.
Are Democrats coming around on this story, or do they still have a stiff arm?
I think it is a stiff arm that's getting a little weaker. That is, Democrats all said, look, there have been no answers, there's no smoking gun, there's no problem that has been isolated and analyzed like there was in Watergate. But again, Bill, as a Democrat sitting here, there are a lot more unanswered questions today than there were yesterday.
And you also know last weekend a few Democratic congressmen came out. Lynch out of Massachusetts said, you know, why were the talking points watered down? Who's responsible for that?
We don't know.
Why did that happen? And up until, I think, last weekend, Monica, frankly, it was only Republicans who were talking
right,
about.
But as Congressman Chaffetz has pointed out, they invited Democrats to go along on the trip. They invited Democrats to take part in this investigation, and the Democrats refused to do that. So they want to try to paint this as some sort of partisan witch hunt. And I think they will try to do it, but I think what we heard yesterday is going to make it increasingly difficult for them to do that.
We don't have a 2-minute warning yet for Speaker Boehner, but you expect him to go for the Select Committee?
Well, I think the dynamic really changed the whole conversation on Benghazi yesterday because the Democrats, as I said, really struggled. They had nothing. They had no opportunity even to make any kind of inroads because the truth was so solid. And for the Republicans, I think they realize they haven't gotten any answers from the commander-in-chief on down. So I think the pressure is on the speaker to announce a select committee so that they can have subpoena power and get these answers.
Is that what it has?
Subpoena power. They can go right into the White House and get answers from the President, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense on down.
Short of a select committee, you do not have that power?
You do not. They need the subpoena power
exactly
to go
right.
get the answers.
And I think what Boehner is waiting for, and we'll see in a minute, is do they believe that they can avoid charges of a partisan witch hunt to go forward in a way that will benefit the investigation and ultimately benefit the Republicans?
Okay, we're on standby. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.